What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, I sit down with Jacob from Art on Shirts. If you haven't seen this Instagram account before, it is incredible stuff where Jacob kind of takes these football shirts and immortalizes iconic moments by painting them onto them. It's an incredibly awesome chat. Thank you, Jacob, so much for taking the time. And thank you to everyone that has recently subscribed since the last video. You can see my dog Lila, super stoked that you're all part of the community now. Really excited for you all to be here and see this next episode. So enjoy. Cool. Just yeah. So we were talking a bit off camera, but I just thought it'd be a good place to start. What you were saying about the creative scene, so I'm just gonna get you to, give us the props again.
Yeah, sound. So, like I was saying, I've only really been doing this project for about a year and a half to 2 years. It all started during the pandemic, but like sort of getting immersed and finding more and more out about the football shirt community and that sort of scene and vibe. The stuff, the creative stuff that's coming out of Australia now, I enjoy far more than the UK stuff about UK sort of football.
Yeah, yeah. And
There's
why is
just
that? Do you reckon? Like
so much cooler.
when you talk about the creative stuff, like what is it different? And before we dive into that, maybe just
Yeah,
introduce yourself and the project, because I've been a big fan for a while now. Ever since I saw, I think one of the earliest ones I saw was the United one when you had like Rafael and Carlos Tevez
oh yeah,
like
yeah.
facing off. Yeah.
Oh
But yeah,
right, okay.
give yourself a quick intro and plug for sure.
So my name's Jake, and I go by the name on social media as Art on Shirts FC. And the project is just using football shirts as a canvas, and what I do is I paint onto them. A lot of the stuff that I do is all commission based, so I'll have a client get in touch with me, tell me what shirt they've got, and and what image they want going on it, and then I try my
Mm,
best to sort of recreate it or maybe twist it a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly what I do. And that's how I've got into sort of the football shirt community and the scene that's going on.
Yeah, and it's cool. I think it's cool, like what you were talking about, because obviously I'm interested to know the difference that you're talking about, right? In terms of how you feel the scene here is I don't know. I wouldn't use the word better, maybe, but like kind of like maybe different, a little bit more unique. But
Yeah,
for me, I didn't know this scene existed, and I live here. And it was only
yeah,
when I started working with like Park, and I met people like Alex, um, talking shirt and like Paul from
yeah.
PFC and stuff. And then I realized there was this whole like underground scene that just
Straight away,
existed.
you've just named the reason
The
why it's so cooler. Because like the
Yeah,
park stuff's amazing. Those goalie gloves, I am obsessed with.
yeah.
All the stuff that Alex does is just cool. The photos, just pure vibes. It's just everything that's produced. I like. I guess another thing is a lot of the stuff that's produced from the UK is very club specific as well. So you have like your
Mm,
Arsenal fan TV, your Stretford Paddocks for United, and you have your set teams, very tribal. Whereas a lot of the stuff that comes over from Australia is very overally. It covers a lot of different things. So yeah, you'll find something you like within that sort of profile, whoever's it is. There's something that you like with them rather than, oh, I don't like them because they're very, that
yeah, that's
minded.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So maybe that kind of like the fan association to clubs I mean, is obviously a lot stronger, right? Because it's often geographical based or like where you
Yeah,
live in the town or the city that you're from. Whereas I think for us, because we're located so far away, like we have affinities for clubs, but we don't have that kind of the layer that goes even deeper than that, which is like I'm from this place, or like I grew up going to games with like my family. To like for me, it was my dad's a Liverpool fan, and my cousin was a United fan growing up. And obviously, like as a young boy, you're going to go with your cousin rather than your dad because he makes you
yes,
know I
that's
think
literally exactly
our decision making our decision making is probably
exactly the
not.
same with me.
Yeah, our decision making when we're so far away is not based on geography. It's probably based on like our influences immediately around us at the time, which is like your parents and your friends um and your extended family and stuff like that, which is
Yeah,
interesting. But yeah, like when I discovered the scene here, it was interesting because I was kind of just like buying kits that I liked, um, and kind of just I didn't even know I'll collect, like I just like them, so I would just like grab them when they're on sale
mm,
and stuff like that. And
And when I started working with Park was when I got introduced to Alex, and he was like, "There's this whole world," and
Yeah, there really
I was
is.
like, "I've been using the internet wrong this whole time because I didn't know, like it all existed," which is crazy to think now because like I feel so much a part of it, but yeah, your work,
Same,
yeah,
absolutely same.
your work is yeah.
Sorry, I very similar to your story there. Like you think you're a geek for liking these things, but then when you dive into it and you see the stuff that other people have got, the collections other people have got, you realize like it's a whole other world, and then you just get more and more immersed into it, don't you? Yeah, I completely see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, and it's just, and it's cool to feel. I think its own version of that tribalism you're talking about, right? Because then, like, I get the sense now, the longer I'm in this, like, people are protective of the community too. Like, it means a lot to so many people to feel a part of it, where people share, the similar interests
Yeah,
like, is it long sleeves or short sleeves? Is it this design or this template? And like, it's just like, and the more I learn, the more I'm just like, oh, it just goes so deep, and there's so much nuance in it.
it's
Which
true. It's true, and I'm guessing likewise as well. You meet so many cool people along the way that are really nice and just love talking about it as well and sharing their interests. And yeah, I've met so many really really cool people through it, and I just like saying yes to absolutely everything just to see where it goes because
yeah,
you just meet more and more cool, interesting people along the way.
yeah, I think, and I loved your stuff. Like I said, like when I saw the United one, I was like, I'm in. Like that Rafael Tevez thing, I was just like, I'm all in. And I was gonna ask, like, how did the idea first start? I know you said it's all commission based and stuff, so people come to you
Mm,
probably with already, a specific kind of like moment in time they want captured. But
yeah,
for you, the initial concept, when you were like, I want to know, go back to that first moment when you went, yeah, art on shirts, like
this is what I'm gonna do.
this is what I'm going to do. I think that's an interesting, yeah,
um, it's a bit of a weird one because I've always been a geek, like I've said, proper into football shirts. And as a kid, I used to design them, just with crayons and pens and felt
yeah,
tips and
yeah,
paints
yeah,
and whatever I had. And I was that much of a football shirt sort of, or a football nerd, really. My dad is the same, and I used to just take all of the information which he had because he used to have like books and he'd have like Gazzetta dello Sports and stuff like that
yeah,
because he was
yeah,
really
yeah,
he just loved world football, not just English football. So I'd take all of that bit of information, and this is 6, 7, 8 year old, and then I'd do sets of kits for these teams, and that
crazy.
I just loved doing that. And then the older I've got, the kind of keeping up to date with leaks and that part of like being into football shirts rather than
Yeah, that's
doing the
deep.
fantasy kit designs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it all sort of properly stemmed and proper kicked off when the pandemic was in full flow and I got put on
Mm.
furlough, and I went a little while without having any contact with my work at the time, and I was just like, I need to kind of do something to stay sane, to keep my mind
Mm.
active. And I just had an app on my phone because I've got two daughters. One loves football and one loves art, painting and stuff. So I've got a couple of apps on my phone and football shirt pictures and stuff. So I uploaded one to the app and doodled on top of it. And I was just adding different design elements to it. It was a Man United third shirt from about 2, 3 seasons ago. And I was just adding little different elements of it was a red rose. I wanted to do like a Lancashire red rose incorporated into that season's kit design, and it was the black and white sort of zebra
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
dazzle camo Adidas one, and
yeah,
it was that shirt which I had on my phone, and then I started putting these roses on. I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll do some more. Like I just got another image of a shirt and thought what I could do, what I could put on it.
yeah,
And then when I had a handful of these, I don't know what possessed me to do it. I just put them online just to see what people would say. It was on Twitter at the
yeah.
time, and I had a few people contact, and they're like, "That's really cool. Can you make it?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I think I can." And then I researched how I could make them, And then I found out like I could literally paint onto these shirts in a way that could kind of mean that they'll be flexible and durable and actually wearable.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. What do you fancy doing? And it was a guy called Joe, the first ever guy who got in touch with me, and he had the Diego Maradona Napoli and England Gaza shirts. And it was just like, I've got a load of shirts. Just send over whatever pictures you think you can put on them and what might look cool. So I sort of drafted up a few ideas and he chose them, sent them to me, and it was just like, right, okay, I've got I've got to do this now. Diving in at the deep end, no experience. And yeah, he was he really liked them. He liked the way that they come out. I still speak to Joe now. He's he's an absolute sound guy. It's just evolved from there really. It started off as this adding extra design to the current season shirts, and it's just snowballed now into more like tribute pieces. So like if customers have got like a shirt from a certain season, like for example, there's a Bristol City shirt that I'd done, and the guy was like, Scott Murray. I've never heard of Scott Murray. No offense, Scott Murray, but I'm not a Bristol City fan, I don't know who you are, or never heard of you up until that point. And then so I was like, okay, cool. He's like, he scored this famous goal against Cardiff, and I want that picture on this shirt because this was the shirt that he wore. I was like, okay, no worries. And then you do research, you get into it. I've watched that goal so many times now. So it's like, yeah, okay, I'll do this. Let's get it going. And I've created this tribute, this moment in time on this shirt, and he's got it signed by Scott Murray. He's got it framed up, and it looks incredible. And it's just like, yeah, I'm happy where this project's sort of gone so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just open to absolutely everything though. So I still like doing those extra design works. I like doing those sort of moment in time football tributes. But I also like mixing it up and putting sort of other inspirations like a load of the New York City City shirts. When I put like Biggie and Jay-Z and stuff like that on, just like cultural references to New York. I just like taking inspiration from pretty much everywhere and trying to incorporate them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's an awesome like origin story. Like I'm obsessed with origin stories. Like I like to know the first moment where people decide to do something that's like out of the ordinary, or from left field, or a little bit risky. Because like
it was literally and like I said before, kind of like my ethos with doing this project is just say yes to everything. Like I've not said no to anything yet, and it's like just see where it takes me. And just that guy sending me a DM like, "Do you make these?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, I can do."
Yeah,
and that's what it's turned into now.
What would you say no to?
I have said I've read, I have said no to one thing.
Yeah,
and I did mention it on another podcast, so I don't feel guilty about saying it now as well, because part of me is like I feel a little bit bad. But I once had a DM from a guy who asked me to build him a scarecrow in a football kit.
What?
A scarecrow as well, yeah.
That's wild. That's random.
Yeah, I know. And I was just like, I don't think I can do that. You might be able to check out some YouTube videos, but yeah, I can't do that, I'm afraid.
Did you have much experience painting before? Because like some of these like pieces that you've put together and you've painted are like incredible. Like in terms of the eye for detail. And I mean, look, you got to give credit where credit's due. So any experience painting before? Was it kind of just like a whole, like with the whole attitude of saying yes, then you just went, I'm gonna have to learn how to do this really well as well?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Like like as part of my like art experience in life, I did it at GCSE level. I did it quite well, but once I left secondary school, I moved on to and did my degree in animal science rather than anything relatable to art. So it was like the only time I'd ever draw or anything like that is in my own time since secondary school. And with these designs, I don't tend to think ahead. Like if someone comes to me with an idea, they'll be like, okay, I've got let's use an example which has happened. Oh, okay. So I had Football Shirt Italia, Adrian messaged me and he was like, I've got this shirt with Totti on the back, and he's like, can you do Totti for me on the front? And like, rather than just choosing a nice simple image, I chose let's do this big sort of flamboyant picture of Francesco Totti to go on this gorgeous clean Nike Roma shirt. And it's like, yeah, let's go for it. And then when it comes to actually doing it, you're like, right, okay, time to go to work now. Try and get this image as perfect as possible, exactly how I envisaged and drafted up an idea to look like. I mean, the more and more I've done it, like I said, about a year and a half, 2 years now, I am getting a little bit more better at, well, personally wise, I'm really critical of what I do, and like my girlfriend usually comes over halfway through and will give me little pointers, like where I'm stressing and like it doesn't look right. She'll be like, yeah, that needs altering, and then yeah. I'm open to like this sort of criticism to sort of help me get the image as close to as perfect as I can make it.
And how permanent is that first stroke on a shirt? Like, how far in is it before you go, oh, I can't, like, if I make a mistake, there's no going back now? Or is it kind of, do you get my question? Like,
because I know what you mean, yeah.
And
that was literally going through my head on that very first shirt. It's like, how far can I go before I'm like, oh, nah. Part of me was like, it was the very first shirt I did was the Diego Maradona on a Napoli Kappa Combat shirt. So it's that stretchy sort of lycra type material. And I was like, right, if the image goes distorted with the way that the material stretches and stuff like that, we could be in for some fun with this one. But it's more like perseverance. Like, there's a lot of the shirts which I've done, as much as I try and make them as perfect and as close to these draft demos that I sort of do on an app for the client, they're always slightly off. They'll always be slightly off because paint bleeds into fabric. There's loads of different sort of external things that you can think of, which you don't actually know until you're painting, especially like, what football shirts, the materials are like now compared to what the 90s were like, and especially goalkeeper shirts, which I've done a few of lately, where they're kind of like wearing sponges. The material is so sort of proper spongy. So it's like you don't fully know exactly how things are going to go until you're doing it, and it's kind of just like amending as you go. And thankfully, a lot of the clients have been okay. If there's slight alterations or slight differences, they've been all okay with them so far, touch wood.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because like looking at the paintings, you're just for me, I'm just like, well, if you make a mistake, how much of it, stays on it, and how much can you salvage? Like, it's just such a, because to me it just looks like, I thought about the fabric, and then what is that like? How does it intermingle with the paint, and like the process from start to finish of it just looks like a very stressful thing in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like the process looks stressful. I'm just like, it must be the attention to detail and the patience, I think, as well, to pull something like that off is impressive. And that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I want to get the insights into because people see the finished product, right? They just see the image and they go, that looks sick, but
they don't see the hundreds of photos on my camera roll where that person or that painting looks nothing like the end product. I mean, I end up loving every single shirt that I do, but at some point during that whole process with every single one, I've hated it because something hasn't gone to plan. There's certain bits that just don't look right. But like, because I go through that with each one, that's why I think I love them so much. And it's always quite hard. I've been asked a few times, what's your favorite one you've done? And it's just like, I can't choose, because each one I spend hours doing, and it's like I do sort of obsess about them a little bit. And I think that's the reason why when sort of accidents do happen, and like I'll do a face, and like you say, if you do something wrong, how hard is it to cover up? It pretty much everyone goes wrong, and I do cover up as I go, sort of thing, as I sort of build the image up. So it's like those hours and that obsessive sort of nature that I've got with it is why they look okay. They're still not perfect in my eyes, but they look okay.
So a couple of quick fire ones before I wrap up with you. I want to know, because the transition was perfect. People ask you what your favorite one is. I'm going to ask you what your favorite your top three are. But I'm going to give you my top three, right?
Okay, yeah, that's interesting, actually. Yeah,
my top three, I reckon that Rafael Tevez one that I constantly keep referencing during this
conversation.
Really?
That's cool.
I think because I'm a United fan, and I remember that moment. So I think it's when I saw it, it brings back like those memories of watching the derbies and like when City started becoming like a force and the noisy neighbours and all that.
Yeah.
The second one I love, the biggie one that you did recently with the New York City.
Was it the New York City? Was it the home shirt, the blue one?
Yeah.
Or was
no. Was it the black? Did they have a black one?
The black one with the face.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's cool.
I like that one. And then my favorite one of all time, the Peaky Blinders, Tommy Shelby.
Sound, yeah.
Because I love that show. So like when you put that one up, like I just thought that was awesome. But your top three.
Okay, so my top three. I'm just scrolling through because I kind of get lost in them a little bit. I'll save that one for last because I think that does pip it. I quite like the biggie on the New York City home shirt where he's got like that Coogee sweater. That took a long time to sort of get that sweater done. So when it finished, I was quite happy with that one. I'm quite happy with how that turned out as well. I think I'm gonna have to say the Ronaldo, the R9 PSV shirt as well, because that one was kind of a little bit of a turn. It was a bit, it was a bit of a turning point for me, to be honest. That one got a lot of interest and it got a lot of likes and a lot of shares. And I think maybe if it wasn't for that shirt, maybe I might not have had so many commissions where what I've done today. So I think that one's got to be in there. And then last one, I'm going to say the Peter Schmeichel on the Denmark 92 goalkeeper shirt, which is a recent one. I was happy with that image, but the fact that he got to see it and he got to sign it, and he was an absolute idol of mine growing up as a United fan and as a goalkeeper. It was like, that made my day. I was grinning so much when I got sent the photos. So I was happy to work on a shirt which I kind of say is a grail of a shirt for me. I thought the image come out okay, and the fact that he saw it and signed it was just like icing on the cake.
Amazing. My last question for you, Jake. Dream collaboration. If there was, anyone that you want to work with, any brand that you want to work with, what would that look like? And who would it be with?
I've always been, brand wise, I've always been a massive Umbro geek from the 90s. They made such an impression of me as a United fan, as an Inter Milan fan in the 90s. Those Umbro shirts were just like legendary for me. I loved owning them, I loved wearing them, and I loved seeing the teams that I followed in them. So brand wise, Umbro would be really cool to work with. I like that tattoo sort of stuff they were bringing out not so long ago as well. I think Brentford and might have been Werder Bremen, I think, had that shirt. And then there's a French team not so long ago with a white one with black sort of tattoo work on it. I love that concept. I think it was brilliant. But brand-wise, that I'd love, because a lot of the drawings and stuff like that I do, like just straight from images of these players. I might get, there's a couple that I've worked with that have got in touch with illustrators and they've let me use their work in the past, which has been really cool. Pardon me. There's an illustrator called Holler FC, which I'd love to do. I'd love to put like a Holler FC illustration on a shirt, or maybe a few on a shirt.
Yeah, look, she might see this, so I reckon you could
absolutely sound as well. Like we've
Yeah,
chatted
yeah.
a few times, and so cool. But
Yeah,
the
no,
work
she's
is amazing.
yeah, incredible stuff. Jake, I don't know why there's a minute left on the Zoom. I thought that it would I thought that it would keep going. I don't know why, but it's telling me to upgrade. So we're gonna have to we're just gonna have to leave it there. But Jake, you know I'm a big fan of your work.
Yes,
Keep up the
likewise
awesome
as well,
stuff.
mate.
And thank you so much for taking the time out of your night with your girl playing GTA in the background. But I appreciate the conversation, and let's definitely chat again. And
Yeah,
yeah, I
definitely,
can't
man.
wait. I
It's
can't
all
wait to
good.
see what you got coming up. I'm a huge fan, so to keep up the awesome stuff.
No worries, mate. Thank you for having me on. It's been
Yeah.
really good chatting.